If you want to stop three-putting so often, you have to learn how to read greens. It's one of the most important skills in golf. Today, I'm going to share 7 proven tips to help you read greens so you can walk into every putt with confidence. After playing this game for 25 plus years, I've learned a lot as a golf writer and as a tournament player myself. So I'm going to give you some of the easiest tips, plus the one question that you need to ask yourself on every putt that will literally transform your mental game and help you make more putts. Plus, stick around to the end as I'm going to reveal the one thing that all pros do that most amateurs don't on every single putt. The first green reading tip is simple. We have to study the contours of the green. I remember my first putting lesson as a junior golfer. I had a coach say, if you threw a bucket of water on the green, where would the water go? This is a good way to simply figure out, hey, is this a back to front green, front to back green? Is there a little bit of slope in it? And it just starts to set the tone for how the putt is gonna break. And if possible, try to walk on the green from the front versus the side, because you're actually gonna learn a lot more about the green structure and hopefully figure out if you have an uphill, downhill, or side hill putt. Dave Stockton elaborated this more in his book, Unconscious Putting. Driving up to the side of the green in a cart and walking on from the side doesn't give you as much chance to digest the subtle cues the green is giving you through your feet and eyes. The second green reading tip is to use your eyes. Now here's my process. So what I will do is, preferably walking on the green from the front, I will mark my golf ball, then I will crouch down behind it. Now this is key. I see too many guys kind of walking around to the side already or trying to read it from behind the hole, when in reality, we need to get our first impression from behind the golf ball. So crouch down and then ask yourself this one question. Now I learned this from John Weir, the creator of Mental Golf Type, and he calls it reverse visualization. Here's the question: where is the ball going in the hole? When you ask yourself this type of question, you're gonna get a good answer. Because here's the thing, our mind loves to answer questions that we pose to it. The problem is that a lot of times we don't ask ourselves the right question. So when you ask, where is the ball going in the hole? You're actually presupposing you've already made the putt. And then your mind starts to work backwards and say, okay, this is going in at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. So think about the cup like a clock and then figure out where it's going in the hole, and even imagine the ball coming out of the cup all the way back to your mark. This is gonna help you so much on every single putt and has transformed the way I read greens. The third green reading tip that will definitely help you out is to make sure and use your feet. So once I mark my ball, then I actually pace it off. So that way I can say, hey, this is 10 feet, this is 15, this is 30. And that's pretty much for statistical reasons. I like to be able to enter all my stats into Decade Golf and really track my stats over time. But also I found that when you walk the distance of the putt, you're gonna actually get a lot of learning from your feet. You're gonna say, hey man, this is uphill, I'm really walking up, or I'm walking down. And a lot of times you just can't see that from reading it from behind the hole. So I think it's a really good way to use your feet, and that's why aim point has become such a popular green reading method as well. Additionally, you can straddle the putt, but just make sure you're not stepping in anybody else's line. Here's what a Titleist article said about straddling the putt and how it can help you read greens. Straddle the line of your putt and focus on how your weight is distributed. If one foot feels like it has more weight on it than the other, that foot is on the downhill side of the putt and that putt will break in that direction. If you feel like your weight is evenly distributed between your 2 feet, you're probably looking at a straight putt. Before getting into my next green reading tip, let me know, have you tried an aim point? Hit the comments below. The fourth green reading tip is to watch your competitors. Watch your playing partners and learn from their putts. This is a huge mistake that most golfers just don't do. They're simply reading their putts, or they're just kind of looking off in the distance, when there's a lot you can learn from how your playing partner's putts break or don't break, especially if they're on a similar line to yours. Even if it's not on the same line, there's still a ton you can learn from it. You can figure out the speed, you can figure out which way the green's sloping, and again, it's just an easy hack to read greens better. Plus, the pros do this all the time. One of the best examples is Phil Mickelson in 2004 when he won his first green jacket. On the 18th hole, he had to make a putt, and Chris DeMarco was on a very similar line as him. As soon as Chris hit the putt, Phil jumped right behind it on the line and studied the putt, and obviously went on to make it, got that big jump, got all that air, and got his first major victory. So make sure you're studying your playing partner's putts. It will definitely help you read greens better. The fifth green reading tip is to add more break on longer putts. Here's the thing, there's a pro side and an amateur side. The amateur side is when you miss putts on the low side. Putts missed on the low side have 0 chance of going in, while putts missed on the high side have a much higher chance of going in if they're the right speed. You need to add more break because most golfers just simply don't add enough, especially on longer putts. Phil Mickelson has talked about this in several interviews, saying that in pro-ams that he plays in, amateurs always miss on the low side, aka the amateur side, much more so than they do on the pro side. So add a little bit more break, and then it's gonna hopefully help you hit putts with more of a dying speed, which is essentially gonna make the cup bigger, and hopefully you're gonna sneak a few in on the side door. So add a little bit more break on those longer putts, and I bet you're gonna make a lot more. The sixth green reading tip is to play short putts a lot straighter. So yes, we wanna add more break on those longer putts and let gravity do its job, but inside 5 feet, we really wanna play putts a lot straighter. Now, of course, there's gonna be some times where you do need to get the ball started outside the hole on those 3, 4, or 5 footers, but for most putts inside 5 feet, the left edge or the right edge is usually the furthest we wanna aim, and that way we're gonna hit a putt a little bit firmer and hopefully make a lot more of them. Tiger Woods is a great example of this. He rarely gives the hole away inside 5 feet, and of course is one of the most clutch putters ever. Plus, it encourages you to hit a putt with a little bit more speed because you can't leave putts inside 10 feet, especially putts inside 5 feet short of the hole. You're gonna kill your strokes gained putting and have a lot more 3 putts. So playing it inside the hole is definitely gonna make you hit it a little bit firmer and hopefully make a lot more. Plus, if you do get a lip out inside 5 feet by hitting it a little bit firmer, you're not gonna have those nasty lip outs like Tiger and the guys on the PGA Tour because those greens are so much faster. The final green reading tip is to simply always pick a read. How many times have you stood over a putt thinking, is this left, is this right, is this downhill, is this uphill? If you're thinking about that when we're over the putt, we are setting ourselves up for failure. In fact, if you're having those thoughts, step off and restart your routine because you're clearly not committed to a line. I would rather have players commit to a line, even if it's the wrong one, versus not commit at all. Because I know from my own experience and watching hundreds of thousands of golfers over the years, when we aren't committed to a line, we tend to leave putts short. And putts left short, of course, have 0% chance of going in. Because a lot of times if you're standing over the putt thinking, is this left, is this right, is this downhill, is this uphill? If we're thinking too much and haven't committed to a line, we tend to try and guide it. And when we guide it, we're usually gonna decelerate and leave putts short. So always commit to a line. That way you're gonna hit a better putt, and hopefully if it doesn't go in, it's still gonna be an easy tap in. Also, at the beginning of the video, I mentioned there's one thing that all pros do that most amateurs don't. What is that? It's have a consistent putting routine. Yes, having a good green reading routine is important, but we also need a consistent putting routine. So that's why I created a free putting routine checklist. You can go to wickedsmartgolf.com/putting-routine-checklist or click the link down in the description to download for free so you can start developing your routine so you can walk into every putt with confidence.